Well, I think what they've done is one of the most courageous and fearless things I've seen. I think I think to walk away from all of that, the public grief that we know about, but to all of that family pain. Well, we should think of the Queen as a great-grandmother, and we should think of Prince Charles as a dad. I mean, they will all be suffering from this hugely. And Harry has chosen to walk away from all of that to protect his wife and his children. And I think that you've got the analysis of the media totally right, that the angriest media is from the angriest people, or the people feeding Mr. and Mrs. Angry. But I think all of us need to look at ourselves and think of this as a family that's been blowing itself apart, probably no more seriously than many families are going through or have gone through and haven't been able to walk away. But we're thinking of these as, if we think of them as human beings, as sons and daughters and sisters-in-laws and mother-in-laws and great-grandmothers and great-grandfathers, our hearts should be bleeding for these two.
I mean, you're not in any way suggesting they should be bleeding more for these two than for people, stuck in a dinghy in the middle of the English Channel or living in Syria at the time, or even people using food banks. But it's not either or, is it? This is one of the great mysteries of our era.
It's not either or, and we are showing ourselves more and more to be a nation with less and less compassion less and less tolerance of different people, different choices. I mean, that was what was going on in the family. I mean, without knowing any of the detail or any of the personalities involved, it was differences of opinion, it's differences of definition of duty, it's differences of definition of loyalty. And for Meghan, what she was being asked to become was completely impossible for her to be who she really was.
It was "Can you protect us?" as well that resonated with me, or we just wanted some help. We wanted some protection.
Can you help me? No.
Because what we're being exposed to is different from what everybody else has been exposed to. So the fact that we're getting less help and support is the argument they made. It actually makes sense of everything. But if you don't understand, then you are much more easily manipulated into a kind of unfocused anger, aren't you, or into indignation?
And we see this with every rabbit hole and conspiracy theory going. The anti-vaxxers, the anti-maskers, the Bill Gates theorists. I mean, the sensible, intelligent people get hooked up in this because they're only exposed to their own bubble and they're terrified of being wrong.
I guess we are all terrified of being wrong at some stage in our life. But what I saw,
some of us less than others.
Well, no, some of us have written a book about it, Adrian. But no one likes a self-publicist.
And I've read them both. I think that this ability to be vulnerable and wrong and human is what they've shown us in that interview. I believed every word of it. I don't believe they were mincing their words. They did announce at the beginning of the interview that they weren't being paid for it.
They want to get their version of events on the record, and
they want to get their version of events on the record to appeal to the reasonable, sensible, rational, nuanced thinkers in society, which are fewer and fewer.
When I think about what Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex did, walking away from the royal circus, I can't help but call it one of the boldest, most human decisions ever made under the public spotlight. Imagine being born into a system where your every move is dictated by centuries-old traditions and where love has to go through royal approval before it's even allowed to breathe. Now imagine saying, "Nope, not for us," and choosing peace, protection and truth over privilege. That's what Harry did. Not out of rebellion, but out of love. And let's be honest, if that's not courage, I don't know what is. The way people reacted to their decision says more about society than it does about the Sussexes. Instead of compassion, many jump to judgment, fueled by the same tabloids that thrive on outrage like mosquitoes on a summer night. These are the same experts who turn empathy into a scandal and call basic humanity drama. But if we remove the royal titles for a second, what we really see is a husband protecting his wife and children from a storm that no family should endure. What struck me most about Harry and Meghan Sussex's story is how real and relatable it actually is. Families disagree, people clash, some stay, some leave. The difference is that most families don't have an army of photographers camped outside or media outlets twisting their every word into clickbait. Harry didn't just walk away from titles. He walked away from an entire machine that profits off misery. And somehow that's seen as betrayal? Please, if anything, it's a masterclass in self-preservation and self-respect. Let's talk about the interview that shook the palace walls. They didn't go there to cause chaos. They went there to reclaim their voice. For years, their narrative was hijacked by those who make a living inventing royal soap operas. When they finally spoke, they didn't demand sympathy. They asked for understanding. "We just wanted protection," Meghan said, with that calm honesty that cut deeper than any headline ever could. And that line hit home for millions around the world. Because who hasn't wanted to feel safe, seen, and supported? But instead of listening, many people allowed themselves to be spoon-fed outrage. It's the same pattern we see with conspiracy theories, online hate mobs, and social media pile-ons. People cling to whatever fits their biases, because actually thinking for yourself is apparently out of style these days. Some even treat compassion like it's a limited resource. You can care about refugees and still care about Harry and Meghan. It's not an emotional buffet where you can only pick one. What makes Harry and Meghan Sussex stand out is their willingness to be vulnerable. They didn't pretend to have it all figured out. They showed us what it means to be real, flawed, and brave enough to admit when something hurts. That's something we rarely see in public life, especially in a family where the motto seems to be never complain, never explain, even when your soul is being crushed by silence. And the media? They can't stand that Harry and Meghan's story exposes their own hypocrisy. Every tabloid headline screaming betrayal or meltdown is really just fear. Fear of losing control over a narrative they've twisted for years. Harry and Meghan Sussex aren't broken, they're free. And the more peaceful and happy they become, the more the press loses its power. That's why they stay obsessed. So here's the truth. Harry and Meghan didn't abandon anyone. They simply refused to be prisoners in a golden cage. They chose compassion over compliance, love over duty, and authenticity over performance. And for that, they should be celebrated, not criticised. If you agree that Harry and Meghan Sussex showed incredible courage by choosing their peace, hit that subscribe button and join our Sussexes Unfiltered community. Let's keep lifting them up, exposing the hypocrisy, and spreading the message that love, compassion, and truth will always win, no matter how loud the hate gets. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Because the more voices we have speaking truth, the harder it becomes for the lies to survive.